Welcome back to Intro to Python Lesson 4. This is going to be a little continuation off of if statements that we went over last time. I've got this cool little Python graphic that I found on Google. It's got this Python logo, shaking hands with this guy. Pretty cool. Anyways, let's hop over to Replit. As you can see, new code, right? Very new, kind of bizarre. So for now, don't worry about what's on here. Let's just start from the beginning. Continuing off of lesson 3, we went over if statements, else statements, else statements. We went over the syntax. We went over how important indentations are. I think we went over double equal signs, or that might have been lesson 2. I'm not sure. That's pretty much it. We went over how to apply conditionals, what to do. And so now what I'm going to do is go over 2 important keywords, and that's going to be and that's going to be or. Okay? Those are going to be very important for including multiple conditionals in your if statements, right? So you might have been wondering from the previous lesson, what if I wanted to check multiple things, right? What if I wanted to see if multiple things are true or not true and decide to run my code accordingly, right? Is if statements only limited to one conditional? Kind of, but not really, right? So for if statements, you're going to need one true and one false, right? However, you can accomplish that by using multiple, like smaller conditionals to get one big conditional. Might sound weird. Let me walk you through that. Okay. So as you can see here in this if statement, well, actually, let me start from the beginning. So I've got 3 variables. Age, which is pretty self-explanatory, gets an integer that, from an input that asks, what's your age? Player, which will get, hopefully, depending on what the user decides to enter. I haven't really, prepped for that yet, but it doesn't really matter. The user will either enter W, K, or T for whatever kind of player they want to be. Weapon, D for dagger, S for sword, W for wand, all pretty self-explanatory. And so now, in this if statement, I've got a bunch of conditionals, right? I've got if player equals W, and, right, that's our and keyword, and weapon is equal to W. And so, as you can see here, right, in the highlighted part, and statements need both to be true in order to return true. So, in order for this to run, right, again, we're not going to look at this section just yet, we're just looking over here. In order for this to run, player needs to equal W, and weapon needs to equal W. Both need to be true. If both aren't true, for example, if we're given true and false, then it'll be false, okay? If you're given so much as one false inside an and statement, automatic false, okay? The only way it'll be true is if both are true. And true, right? It doesn't work with true and false, right? It doesn't really sound quite right, okay? And so now, again, not going to go over that just yet. We're going to skip down to line number 7, right? Elif, don't worry about this not for now. That's a thing we won't cover just quite yet. Okay. Elif, player equals K, or weapon equals S, print you have been converted to a medieval knight, you will defend your kingdom. I don't know if that's the way to misspell medieval. It doesn't seem right, but whatever. So, this only runs if either player equals K or weapon equals S is true. And as you could probably guess, only one of them needs to be true, right? If player equals K is true, but weapon equals S is not true, doesn't matter. It'll still run, right? No biggie. So you can have a true or false, and it'll still print true, right? If you have true and true, will also work. But if you have false and false, that's where we draw the line. Won't work, okay? That'll do false. And so now, we can kind of combine multiple statements. We can combine multiple of these keywords into like big conditionals that check for very specific test cases. So as you can see here in this latter half of our first conditional, we have another and statement, and in parentheses, age equals 14 or age equals 10. And the reason I have this is this will use the age variable, and it'll check is age 14 or if it's 10, and if it's either one of those numbers, then it'll print true and it'll run. Again, if, of course, player equals W and weapon equals W. Okay, and the reason I have this is in parentheses is to kind of isolate these two conditionals with this OR statement so that this will print 1 true or false, and that will help determine the outcome using this AND statement. So based on this OR statement, right, h equals 14 or h equals 10, if it's not 14 or 10, it'll give false, right? But if it's either 14 or if it's either 10, then it'll give true. And if this becomes true, then if this is true and this is true, all of it's true, then we print you are a wizard using a wand. You have the highest magic points possible. I hope that makes sense, okay? We're using parentheses, we're isolating this, okay? So you can see how when I said, you know, kind of depends on how you phrase it with conditionals using one true or false. They technically only use one true or false because this whole line only gives one true or one false depending on the values given. But it takes in a bunch of true or falses to make that big one true or false, right? You can see with AND statements, it takes in two true/false values, 2 booleans, and in turn gives out 1 true or false value, depending on what you're given. Okay? A lot to process there. Again, I would suggest you practice this. It'll help you get more accustomed to this, but that's pretty much the gist of AND or, right? And as you can see, lines 14, 15, I've got it kind of spelled out on how it runs. Alright, now you might have seen this, and you might have seen the not, okay? This exclamation point just basically means not. So, when we have elif weapon not equals D, it'll print you should have picked a dagger. That's my favorite weapon. So basically, if the user does not enter D for dagger when given this input, if I enter W or S or anything else, it'll print out this. If I enter D, this won't run, because then it's like saying D is not D. And D is not D is false. D is D, right? So that's true, right? Kind of confusing, but it's like saying 2 doesn't equal 2, right? 2 doesn't equal 2. That's not true. That's false, right? 2 equals 2 is true, but 2 not equaling 2? That doesn't make sense. That's got to be false, right? So, anything that we enter into the weapon input that's not D will give us this. And that's basically just the not keyword, right? So, not. There you go, right? And so I can do something like this. I can say not player equals K, and that's just the same as like this. Let me copy and print this out. This is pretty much the same as that. Okay, that's just the same thing. It's just a different way to write it using the literal not keyword, right? But I can just say player not equaling K, or not player equals K. So basically what this does, this syntax, this way of writing it, is saying whatever you're given here, if it's true, it becomes false. Not is just the reverse, okay? When you see not with in the like parentheses or something, that's just saying that you're taking the opposite. So if player does really equal K, right? If this is true, the not will make it false. Kind of confusing. Let's take it step by step. For example, if I enter in K, right? If player does indeed equal K, player equals K, that's going to return true because K is K. However, this not will change it to false. Now let's say player isn't K. Let's say I entered in W for wizard. So W does not equal K, so that'll give us false. The not will make it true. Okay? And that's essentially the same thing here. Alright, 9 minutes in. Okay, I did a lot of talking, a lot of chit-chatting, but that's pretty much the things that we want to focus on for this lesson. A little bit of a shorter lesson, but this is going to be very important for conditionals. And now I'm just going to use up the bulk of the time to kind of show you how this looks like when I run it. Alright, what's my age? We'll enter in 14. Choose a character. I want to be a wizard. And I want to wield a wand. As you can see, it gives me, you are a wizard using a wand. You have the highest magic points possible. Because player equals W, weapon equals W, age is either 14 or 10, and that returns true, so this is all true, giving us this. Let's see an example of where that doesn't really work. What's my age? We'll say my age is 10. We'll say I want to be a knight. And we'll print out, I want to use a sword. You have been converted to a medieval knight. You will defend your kingdom, right? You can see how when I entered a sword, right, and went down, it saw that this wasn't true, and it went down to this else statement, right? Weapon equals sword. Since this was true, and that's all we need for an OR statement, it automatically printed, you have been converted to a medieval knight, you will defend your kingdom. Alright, let's keep going. Let's try another test case. Let's say I am 10 years old. Let's say I want to be a wizard, and I want to use a dagger. You can see how player is not K, right? I did not choose to be a knight, so it printed out this, right? Kind of confusing, but I don't think this will ever run, depending on... Well, actually, no, never mind. Sorry, ignore that. Okay, so you can see how... Well, actually, let me start at the top, right? I entered... Is player equal W? Yes, right? I entered to be a wizard. Is weapon equal to W? No, right? I chose a dagger. And even though my age is 10, so much as one false statement in an AND statement makes it automatically false. So then I go down to the next line. Not player equals K. Remember, that's the same way as writing player not equal K, right? Same kind of syntax here. And so, if player is not equal to K, let's take this step by step because this can be confusing with our nots and how it reverses our trues and falses. So we were given D. No, we chose W, right? We chose to be a wizard. So wizard does not equal K, right? So that is false. However, the not, remember, it flips it. So this is false, but the not turns it true. And when we're given one true and an OR statement, even though this is false, right? We chose D instead of S. Even though that is false, we got to print this because this is true, and that's all we need for an OR statement. So, a little bit of a funky recap. We went over ANDs, we went over OR, and we went over NOT. Those are going to be our very important keywords. Please get familiarized with those. AND basically combines two, and both of them have to be true in order to return true, or only one has to be true, but if both of them are false, it doesn't work. With ANDs, if a single conditional is false, then it's automatically false. With a NOT, it'll flip it, right? You're given true in a NOT statement, the NOT makes it false. You're given false in a NOT statement, the NOT makes it true. Alright, a little tricky there. Hope you guys understood. That's pretty much the gist of it. Again, I highly recommend that you practice on your own, make your own code, implement your own ifs, your own elifs, your own elses, your own conditionals that you attempt to look for. That will be the best help that you will ever get, right? Doing it on your own will be the best for you, I believe, okay? Good luck coding, and see you later.